Welcome to Doucette on Production. Now, let's get right into this. What if you could double production on each new well that you drilled? Well, in this Doucette on Production video series, everything you're about to see is real data. And you will discover the hidden variable behind your production variability from the data model. And you're going to learn how to double the production of newly drilled wells and reduce the range of uncertainty using the method. So let's get right into it with some real data. Now we're looking up here, top acreage, top operator acreage up in North Dakota. Now the spot I've marked out here, that is the prime fairway. Best of the best is right there. So we're looking at one of the top operators up there. It's Continental, and we've analyzed 140 of their wells since 2018, and also at least 24 months of production. In the prime fairway, they've all got a similar completion design. Now, you can see from looking at here, they're all two-section wells. Well, pretty much are all two-section wells, but it's the most predominant length of the wells that are being drilled up there. All right, let's look at their range of uncertainty. And if you notice this cumulative plot, we have cumulative 24 months on all of those wells, and you can see a huge range of uncertainty. Low end 200 and pretty much up to 600, maxing out at 800, and their P50 average is 418 kBOE. That is a massive range of uncertainty. That's 400,000 spread on Mother Nature's dice roll, I guess. But that's what they're getting. And is it any better on a pad? Well, I found this pad. This pad really stood out. Why? Because when you put them side by side, take a look. They're pretty similar. Now let's drill down even deeper on this pad, because two wells on here just really stood out. Because look at this. These two wells are same length. They're less than a mile apart. One of them's 250 kBOE, and the other one is 600. Now, that's amazing. On a single pad, right next to each other. It leaves you baffled. Now, what does the industry say about this? How does the industry explain all this variability? So let's look at what some of the top people have said in here. All right, so first off, industry struggles with consistency on production. So here's one example at geological differences. This is from an EOG resources engineer from a 2024 SPE conference. He says you can have two wells 500 feet apart on the same pad. One's a superstar, the other's a dud. It's often down to subtle changes in the rock. We're still trying to map better. Okay, that's one reason. How about another? Okay, well interference, frack hits. Okay, this is from ConocoPhillips resource engineer at the same conference. We've seen inconsistent production across pads due to frack hits. And how are we going to fix that? Well, we're going to optimize spacing, and completion timing is critical to minimizing this. Okay, so we got another reason, frack hits. Okay, completion design variations. So this is from Pioneer Completions Manager. We tweak completion designs well to well in the same pad. Sometimes a slight change makes a big difference, but it's trial and error. Trial and error, okay. Operational inconsistencies. If your fluid's leaking off more in one well than another due to small differences in rock properties, you're not getting the same fracture network. Okay, is it frack hits? Is it fracture network? What is the reason? What is the source of this? What if the real reason behind that production variability is a hidden variable you haven't encountered yet? Let's jump into that. So there's hidden variables. Now let's build an analogy here that I think works perfectly. Secret to real estate, as we know, is location, location, location. Well, the secret to production is placement, placement, placement. Now, these two numbers I've got here. First one, I call it the Doucette placement factor. Okay, from the data model. We're going to go into this. The other one is the stages that are inside this particular pinpointed layer from the data model. And if you get a higher placement factor, you get higher stages in there and you get higher production. So we have the Doucette data model. It integrates 23 categories of well data across drilling, completions, production, geology, geophysics, reservoir engineering, all those silos. And by leveraging machine learning, man, we can pinpoint and identify the optimal layer that you want to be in. I call that the Doucette layer. And I've achieved correlations in the high 90s between stage completions in that layer and overall production. And then the output from that also drives what we'll talk about later is the Doucette placement method, which is how we can drill new wells right and maximize those numbers. Now let's look at a real example on this so you can see it for yourself. So let's look at these two wells. That's the same two wells I showed you earlier. Okay, remember the low one was 250K BOE and the higher one was 600K BOE. All right, you're looking at the two here. And this is the results that came out of the model here. Now pay attention to the green layer. The green layer that you see there is the Doucette layer. Now, the overall thickness of the Middle Bakken target here is just about 35 feet. And you can see the green layer right there is the one I want you to focus on. So look at the top one. Let's go ahead and calculate the placement factor on how much of the well is in that Doucette layer. We got 24%. The one below, 63%. So that means when we throw in the stage data to see where the stages were, we've got 9 stages up top and we got 24 stages down below. Now here's where it gets really exciting. Now you're looking at the exact same plot we had before with the range of uncertainty on it. But now, because of the model, we can identify the placement factor on here, and we're going to add the placement factor percentages to this plot. And take a look at what that does then is reveal what's the actual production capacity of that layer. Meaning, what would happen if you put all of your well inside that layer? What would the production be? And that you can see, as you look closely in there, you can see the percentages there. And what we find is that the P50 number that they have is just over 40%. Meaning there's a lot more that we can get. So I look at this straight up, built this whole thing to go, hey, let's do a farm-in opportunity. Built all these controls and everything to draw in 15 wells that you can do up there with Continental, where you execute a 90% placement factor on all those 2-section wells. Keep the completion design the same. Just make that one change on those 15 wells. Well, what would happen? Well, those are the 15 wells I've got in there. You see I'm drawing them in. Now, what's the true production capacity? We've got this. What would it be? Well, the old way, right? What we know, what they're averaging right now with their P50 number is a little over 40%, which means about 15 stages inside the layer. Now, with their new wells average, we get 90%. And look at that difference, 418K BOE, and production modeling predicts it to 825K. That's exciting. That's an opportunity. So let's understand the Doucette model and the method. Remember, the data model integrates 23 categories of well data across drilling, completions, production, geology, geophysics, and reservoir engineering. All of those silos, we bring it all together. And we use the machine learning to identify the layers. Then, what we learn from that is how we can, what production capacity is, what we should get, and it feeds what I call the Doucette placement method, which is to drill right so we frack smarter and double production, because we increase the placement factor, which increases the stage factor in all the stages inside there. So where have we done it? Well, here we are. This is a fringe play up in North Dakota. And here's where the Doucette placement method was used. Now you can look at this plot here and you see the green at the top, right? Now here's the current spread. This is 26 wells that they have in this area. You can see the spread that they've got there. Range of uncertainty, it's there, it's big. And what the modeling predicts will be done. Well, 4 of these wells were drilled with the method, okay? One got 94% placement factor, another 98, and 2 of them got 100% placed. And what do you think their results are? Bam. Look at those results. What you're seeing there is a 42% increase in production and a 90% reduction in the range of uncertainty. With the model and the method, we're rewriting the game. We've got a proven result there with 42% production surge and 90% uncertainty cut. We're turning wild guesses into precision wins. And this is how we double output and dominate the field. And if you want more, I'm posting videos every day breaking down the details. Follow along and let's make every well a powerhouse. Reach out and we'll make it real. Thank you for watching.